Today's topic is angle relationships, and we're going to start by talking about vertical angles. Vertical angles are angles that are formed when basically you have two lines that cross each other. For instance, angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles. They're right across from each other. Angle 3 and angle 4, in this case, are also vertical angles. Now, the thing that you will find interesting is that vertical angles are congruent. So let's write that down. They have the same measure. Right? Now, let's move on to another type of angle, complementary angles. Complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So here's some pictures of complementary angles. I'm going to call them angle 1 and angle 2. Notice together they make an angle, they make a 90-degree angle. So we're going to say angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. Here's another example. Let's call these angles 5 and 6. I'm going to tell you that together they make a 90-degree angle. So we'll say angle 5 and angle 6 are complementary. Supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. So for instance, let's say that I have two angles. Let's say that this is equal to 50 degrees and this one is 130. These two angles are supplementary because 50 degrees plus 130 degrees does indeed give you 180. And that's what makes angles supplementary, is that they add up to 180 degrees. Let's go on to the next page. A linear pair. A linear pair basically are angles that form a straight line. Oops, let me just write down angles here. Angles that form a straight line. They just like a straight line, have a measure of 180 degrees when you add them together. Okay, now they do have to be adjacent. We'll talk about that word in just a minute. They do have to go together like this. So let's say that this angle here is 120 degrees. If these two angles form a linear pair, the other one would have to be 60. So together they would add up to 180. If this angle on this next group was 40 degrees, the next angle would have to be 140, so they would add up to 180. And notice together, they do make a straight line. Adjacent angles, they share a side. So in this case, let's say we have angle 1 and angle 2. We would say that angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent because they share the side between them. Now we're going to be moving on to the next page, and the directions for the next page are to use the figures to name the following. Now I'm going to fill in some information here. Hang on for just a moment. Okay, so here we have all the information filled in. And I would like you to start by naming all acute angles that you see. Now remember, acute angles are less than 90 degrees. So it would look like this first angle, angle CBA, is acute. Angle XYZ is also less than 90. So we'll list that one. Let's look for others that are less than 90 degrees. It looks like HGI, that's less than 90. I forgot to put my angle symbol in. And let's make this H look a little bit better. I think we've got them all. Now, let's list all obtuse angles. Now remember, obtuse angles measure more than 90 degrees, but less than 180. So it looks like we have angle KLM, and how about angle HGJ? I'd like us also to name a pair of complementary angles. Now remember, complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. Two angles that add up to 90. So CBA and XYZ, they measure 40 and 50 degrees respectively. If we add 40 and 50, we get 90. So let's say those angles are our complementary angles. Let's also name a pair of supplementary angles. Now, supplementary angles add up to 180, and it looks like we could use angles HGI and HGJ because they measure 70 and 110 degrees. If we add those, we do get 180. So let's write that down. So we have HGI and angle HGJ. And also a linear pair. Now remember, two angles that are a linear pair go together to make a straight line. They are adjacent, they share a side. And it looks like the same answer for the previous one, HGI and HGJ. They do indeed make a straight line together. So we have angle HGI and angle HGJ. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. No,